Do you know the most common application vulnerabilities? That's what we're going to dive into today. In the vast expanse of the cyber world, application vulnerabilities are like hidden trapdoors, waiting for an unsuspecting user to stumble upon them. These are flaws or weaknesses within an application's code that could potentially be exploited by cyber attackers to gain unauthorized access, manipulate data, or disrupt services. They're akin to a chink in a knight's armor, exposing them to potential harm. Why is this important, you ask? Well, in an era where our lives are increasingly digitized, understanding these vulnerabilities is akin to understanding the security of our own homes. Today, we'll be covering the most common types of application vulnerabilities, from injection attacks and broken authentication to cross-site scripting and unvalidated redirects. Understanding these vulnerabilities equips us to better protect our systems and data. So, let's get started on this journey towards a more secure cyber environment. First up, we have injection attacks. These attacks are crafty, exploiting a system by injecting malicious code. They come in various forms like SQL, OS, and LDAP injections. For instance, an attacker could use SQL injection to manipulate your database, potentially gaining unauthorized access to sensitive data. In the case of OS and LDAP injections, the attacker might execute unauthorized commands or access information they shouldn't. Now, how do these attacks occur? It's often a result of unfiltered data input. The attacker sends code through user inputs that a system mistakenly executes. As for the impact, well, it ranges from data theft to complete system takeover. But fear not, basic prevention measures exist. They include validating, sanitizing, and limiting user input, as well as using parameterized queries for SQL injections. Remember, in the vast world of cybersecurity, a small step goes a long way. Staying vigilant about the data we accept can help mitigate injection attacks. Next, we delve into broken authentication. Now, what does that mean? Essentially, broken authentication is a vulnerability that allows an attacker to bypass the authentication process of an application. It's like a thief with a skeleton key that can open any door in a building. Common scenarios where this vulnerability can be exploited often involve weak session management and poor password complexity. Imagine, for instance, leaving your online banking account logged in at a public computer. It's an open invitation for anyone to step in. Or consider a password as simple as 123456. It's akin to having a lock that could be opened with a paperclip. But fear not, there are preventive measures you can take. Ensuring strong session management, like automatic logouts after periods of inactivity, and promoting complex, unique passwords can go a long way. Remember, robust authentication systems are crucial to prevent unauthorized access and to keep your applications secure from prying eyes. Now, let's uncover the world of cross-site scripting, or XSS. This prevalent vulnerability exists when an application includes untrusted data in a new web page without proper validation or escaping. This can allow attackers to execute scripts in the victim's browser to hijack user sessions, deface websites, or redirect the user to malicious sites. There are three main types of XSS: stored, reflected, and DOM-based. Stored XSS occurs when the malicious script is permanently stored on the target server. Reflected XSS, on the other hand, involves the script being included as part of a malicious URL. Lastly, DOM-based XSS is a more advanced type, where the vulnerability resides in the client-side code rather than the server-side code. So how do we combat this? By employing a variety of secure coding practices. Using tools to automatically escape user input, validating input, and implementing content security policy are just a few strategies to prevent XSS. Secure coding practices are the first line of defense against XSS attacks. Moving on, we face insecure direct object references, or IDOR. This term might sound like a mouthful, but it's quite straightforward. IDOR is a type of security vulnerability that occurs when an application provides direct access to objects based on user-supplied input. In simpler terms, it's like leaving your house keys under the doormat, hoping that only the right people will find it. The danger of IDOR is that it can lead to unauthorized access to data. Imagine if someone with ill intentions finds those keys under your mat. They could walk right into your home, or in this case, your sensitive data. So, how can we avoid this? The answer lies in proper access control mechanisms. By validating user requests and ensuring that they have the correct permissions, we can prevent unauthorized access. It's like having a secure lock and key system instead of a doormat hiding spot. Remember, proper access control mechanisms can help prevent IDOR attacks. Last but not least, we tackle unvalidated redirects and forwards. These are when a web application accepts untrusted input that could cause the web application to redirect the request to a URL contained within untrusted input. By altering the URL, an attacker can effectively choose the destination page. Now, why should this concern us? Well, imagine a phishing attack. The user sees a legitimate site's URL, clicks on it, but is redirected to a malicious site. Or consider forceful browsing, where an attacker tricks a user into visiting a restricted area of a site. So how do we prevent this? One effective way is to avoid using redirects and forwards altogether. But if you must use them, ensure to validate URLs. Use a list of trusted URLs defined by your application, not ones provided by the user. Remember, it's always safer to deny by default and allow by exception. Always validate redirects and forwards to keep your applications safe. Now that we've learned about these common vulnerabilities, it's time to wrap up. We've journeyed through the murky waters of injection attacks, where harmful data can be introduced into your system. We've explored the pitfalls of broken authentication, a vulnerability that can leave the virtual door wide open for unauthorized users. Then, we delved into the world of cross-site scripting, or XSS, which can allow attackers to inject malicious scripts into web pages viewed by other users. We also unveiled the risks of insecure direct object references, or IDOR, that can lead to unauthorized access to sensitive data. Lastly, we navigated the treacherous terrain of unvalidated redirects and forwards, which can be exploited to deceive users and steal their credentials. Understanding these vulnerabilities is crucial in the realm of cybersecurity, painting a target on potential weaknesses and providing a roadmap for robust application security. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and keep your applications secure.